Hi, guys. Welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. My name is Janie Charlo, and this is part two of Are You an Empath with Miss Cara Sevier. So, Cara, welcome back for part two.
Thank you so much for having me, Janie.
Yes, so we got a lot of feedback on our first part. So, I'm really excited to dive in on this second part. If you have not listened to part one of Am I an Empath, I want you to go on YouTube. You can go on Anchor Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, and you can look for it. Am I an Empath on Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast? Part one is going to really give you a lot of information on the stuff we're going to talk about today. So you have to listen to both parts. On part one, we covered, of course, what is an empath. We covered what is a Reiki practitioner, because Ms. Cara is a Reiki practitioner, so she covered that. We talked about 5 things that you can kind of do some self-evaluation on if you are an empath. So Cara, she talked about that. And we kind of left off on, we did talk about narcissists and the empath relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we can kind of touch on that a little bit today. I don't want to waste too much time on it because we covered it a great deal on the first podcast, but we'll definitely touch back on that. Okay. And then we left off on balance and what it looks like when an empath is completely out of balance. So, Cara, let's get started.
Yes. And I love how you brought right in with part one, because we did really talk about just what it looks like. It definitely is a picture of an unhealthy person, anxiety, depression, being either over or underweight, depending on the empath's personality, just a real unsettling feeling. We feel like we already feel different, but you definitely want to be inside your home. You don't want to go out. Your light is dim. You physically look ill. Usually empaths are bright. They have this light that people notice, and that aura is just really shining. And when you are not healthy, we stand out even more. So,
yeah, and I think we kind of mentioned that it's a daily task of staying balanced and balancing your emotions.
Yes.
We touched on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. Just want to restate, being an empath is a character. It's who you are. And it is daily. And I remember saying last time that in the very beginning, I felt like it was a chore. And that's why I didn't really delve into it. I had, was hearing from my spiritual advisors, oh, you're a sponge, you soak things up. You need to make sure you take certain baths. You need to, eat a certain way and don't do this and don't do that. And I was just like, wait a second, this list is getting longer and longer. Like, I want to live. And I think my thought processing was, well, does everybody have to do this? Like, why do I have to take all these considerations? Like, I don't want to do this. This is heavy, right? And so then I just started realizing that, there are differences in people. Everyone has a purpose. And all I know is this past August, when I went away on a working sabbatical, is what I like to call it, I just had an awakening. It was abrupt. It was just like, literally, I just sat up and it's like, I'm an empath. Like, okay, just clear, cognizant, just like a knowingness. And I just started going back to information that was given to me, and lights were going off. And it was just like, oh my goodness, like this has been like the missing link. So I have to honor myself. I have to honor the gift and just, go all in.
Yeah. So let's talk about the difference in male versus female empaths. And I want to touch on this because I think it's very common for females and women to be very intuitive, be more in touch with their spiritual side. But I know that there are a lot of male empaths out there. So what have you noticed as far as the differences in male versus female empaths? How can some of our male counterparts start to do that self-awareness as well? Hey, I might be an empath. And how can they balance that with their masculine energy?
Right. And that was what I was going to say is the primary difference. between male and female empaths is the culture. So culturally, even if it's American culture, Hispanic culture, whatever that culture is, men are typically thought of being very, very strong. Hey, don't cry. You can take a punch, or, they're looked at to be very, very strong. And even though men, just by nature, tend to be stronger, like physically, than women, that emotional aspect of a male empath tends to overshadow that physical strength. And a lot of times the culture really affects the males, because they fit all the other criteria for being an empath: highly sensitive, highly intuitive. And imagine you are that, and then you're feeling these things, and someone is telling you, whether it's a family person, or you're in school, people are making fun of you, like, oh, you're a crybaby, oh, you feel too much, men don't do this and men don't do that. So they start to question themselves. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times those men are more prone to anxiety, depression, fatigue, because they really feel like, I know that I feel these things, but what do I do with them? I'm not a girl, but I feel this way. So they have generally more of a road to toe as far as self-acceptance and understanding. Mm-hmm. And in the Facebook group, we do have a male who is in the group, and it was awesome just to see him express to me that this is who I am, and I was caught up with a person who, basically didn't have my interests at heart, and I had to go about it this way. But it's a very strong male personality, but he was able to be honest about it and say, hey, I'm an empath. And you are starting to see that more and more. Sometimes the males that are coming out and saying, hey, I'm an empath, you will see them being more tender, more loving, more kind with their significant others. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
They're more fully committed to relationships. I think at one point we talked about what careers may empaths go into. These may be your veterinarians, like your male vets that you see, your EMTs, even your physicians, your male nurses. There's a little something extra where their heart is open. Even male coaches, whether it's a social coach or a business coach or an actual physical fitness coach, they truly care. And everyone that carries the title, of course, is not an empath, but you'll notice something different. I believe that my coach is an empath because he just cares about everybody. He's intuitive about everybody. Mm-hmm. I believe my older brother is an empath. He's in the social services field. And so he definitely fits some of those traits. So it's something that is very prevalent in society, but I think the culture is what makes it more acceptable for women versus men.
Mm-hmm. That's great insight. Really great insight. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about healing as an empath. We mentioned a little bit before in part one that being an empath, it's actually a mission. I mean, you're here on a mission, and sometimes you don't know it until you awaken to it. And a part of that mission is healing. So let's talk about, Cara, how does that relate to one, the empath healing self, healing his or herself? How does that snowball into healing others, and then in return, the entire world?
Great questions, and they are all related. And as you mentioned, as an empath, the first thing to heal is ourself. And that is because we awaken to it. Like you said, we're these babies, we're these children, and we're learning that, hey, we're extra sensitive, we're intuitive, and we have to learn to balance that as we are living our lives in these different cultures. And the very definition of healing is to cause something to become healthy again. So that means that at some point,
I like that. I like that definition.
Right. I like to get to the definition and figure out, okay, what does this mean? What is actually taking place? So that means that you have to return back to a healthy state. So the question is, what happened? When did we get healed? When did we go through traumas? And depending on the person, is at different levels, different ages. And so that's part of the journey, is going back to, where are my wounds? How do I turn the light on those wounds? How do I heal that? And depending on the person, various methods can be used. And I was amazed to find out that there are I saw like 77 healing methods. And so, of course, I love Reiki because I'm a Reiki practitioner. That's energy healing, where the energy centers in the body are balanced and renewed and restored, which is very important for empaths to be in balance. And there's acupuncture, acupressure, and these are going to be more of the spiritual and emotional components of healing. And then obviously when you deal with physical healing, like if you have high blood pressure, when you have medical issues, I believe that those things are tied more into soul issues and emotional issues. So you do have to fix the physical first, especially when you have, like diabetes and things of that nature. So you have to fix those first, but then, work with your medical professional to come off of those prescriptions if you can, and, enter some other alternative methods. So I mentioned acupuncture, acupressure. There's angel healing, aura healing. Aura is just, the energetic field that some of us can see, around an individual. Aromatherapy, that is really taking a big trend, a big uptake on the trend as of recently, aromatherapy. I love essential oils, and I'm really starting to include them in my practice as well as my products. Biofeedback, Ayurvedic medicine, that is just a medicine from the traditional Indian culture, and that just spans thousands and thousands of years. That's the Ayurvedic medicine. Plant medicine, breath work. There is a belief that breathing can heal a lot of illnesses, and I really believe that to be true.
Oh.
Our breathing is just not right. We're not taking deep breaths.
If we mentioned this in another podcast, when we breathe in oxygen, every single cell in our body needs oxygen.
Yes.
And most times people are not taking in enough oxygen. They're not getting those deep breaths in. Right. And when you breathe in oxygen, you're releasing all that pain and all the other stuff that's been in there. So breath work is really important.
It's really important. Getting rid of the carbon dioxide, which is the poison, right? So the body, imagine this, the body does all this hard work to break things down and get spiritual, inside each cell. They're connecting, they're communicating. It's like, okay, release this, release that. And then we don't breathe it out. That's like a simple way to expel, we don't.
It is.
And so we talked about Reiki with the chakra balancing, traditional Chinese medicine. There's something called cupping that I've had done before, where they actually place cups. There's a method that they use, I want to say like oxygen in a match. And so they kind of create like a sucking motion on your back. And so it's placed in certain patterns to provide some relief spiritually for some challenges or barriers or blockages or all. Hypnosis, even chiropractic medicine. I love each and every one of those. I am definitely more attuned to the natural healing forms. What did we have in the very beginning? And being of African descent, we didn't always have the clinic, down the street, or urgent care centers and all of that. So what were we doing? And it was the empaths. It were the healers of the community that were actually, they knew they were intuitive. The medicine men, the medicine women, these are all empaths, knowing exactly what to put together. We can think of now some of those, and I will tell you something funny, some of those, I'll say remedies that our grandparents or great grandparents, taught us. I remember one time I was with my grandmother and I had this cough. And it was just a really bad cough. And I was a little girl. I was probably like 9 or 10. And, then when you go with your grandparents, you sleep in the same room with them. So I was sleeping in the bed with her. She had a nice big bed. And I just remember coughing and coughing and coughing. And I woke up. She went and got some Vaseline. Vaseline and a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, but a tablespoon, dipped it in that jar. That's my grandmother. So I took that Vaseline and I swallowed it. That was it for the cough. It wasn't mentholated. It was just strictly petroleum jelly, like Vaseline. And it was for a cough. And I can guarantee you, I will never forget that.
Well, and just thinking about that, I could see how the thickness of the petroleum jelly just calmed those bronchial hairs that typically get aggravated in a cough.
Right.
And it's interesting because that's almost like a simple fix.
Right. And I wonder, did she get that intuition at that moment, or was that
Mm.
something that she knew beforehand,
Wow.
right? So,
Yeah.
I love it. And just even like with my mom, I remember being a child, and she had a hair grease, I'll call it, that she made for us. And it was just things from the earth, like pine tar oil. There were three other things. Vaseline was in one of those, and it was like a couple other things that she
Mm-hmm.
used. And it was just like, where did she get that from? Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
these are things that are passed down from generation to generation. And I think that we need to return back to a lot of that, if not all of it. I believe all of it. Let's figure out, what was the basis for that? These are healing modalities that don't have side effects, that, produce healing and things. It's part of the culture that we need to pass along.
Yeah.
So,
That's great insight. And I just wanted to add, I do believe that conventional pharmaceuticals have a place, but even being as a nurse practitioner, I totally agree that there is a deeper spiritual, emotional issue when we see physical symptoms.
right.
And just prime example, like a lot of people who's never had a flu vaccine, and I see it a lot in the kids. They're so scared, they don't want to get a flu vaccine, they're just frightened. And I always tell them, just take a deep breath, just take a deep breath. So a lot of things come from our emotional, spiritual issue. So whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's some deep wound, rejection, or feelings of not being enough, it will manifest physically, and you will have
Absolutely.
physical symptoms.
Absolutely.
And it can appear in any of the systematic systems typically that you'll see in conventional medicine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very palpable diseases. Skin is one of them. Skin, is the largest organ, on our body.
And you got to think of the skin as detoxing. So I always tell people, when you're having a lot of breakouts, don't run straight to, like, say, Accutane or something like that. That can have all these horrible side effects. Start to think, what is it you can detox from your diet and your life? People and things included.
Right. Stress is a big thing. And,
Yeah.
If you're worrying, if you are, not aware, being an empath, and so you're not saying no, you don't have boundaries set up, you're stressed out. You're trying to be here, you're trying to be there for everybody. You're not drinking water. Water is a huge thing, with helping to heal the body and to nurture everything that's taking place internally. So if you don't honor yourself, there's just going to be a lot of repercussion that'll be felt, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that.
That is great. Let's talk about the healing process as it relates to an empath. And I know we're in a quick world. We want a quick fix. We want it done in a day. We want it done in 2 days, at the most a week. Okay, because
exactly. I was going to say
all this stuff to do. Let's talk about the healing process, because I tell people all the time, give yourself time, give your body time, give yourself time. What do you recommend, or what have you seen in the healing process as an empath?
Right. So first of all, I just want to talk about time. Time is relative. So that's the first thing we need to understand. We are on our own time frame, right? Our body, just birth order, where we were born, when, how. There's so many things involved with who we are as a person and what we're going to have to heal from. So that lengthy process, and I don't want to say lengthy, but the process of healing is going to be individualized. And so it's a journey, it's not a destination. So it's not a time frame of this will be 6 months or this will be 7 days, because we're going to be really healing and fortifying and having to balance ourselves. Like I do Reiki every single day. I didn't reach a destination of healing. Every single day I'm having to do these things. So healing is just ongoing. It's just making sure that daily you are checking in. Am I okay? Do I need to rebalance, drink this, not eat this, that sort of thing? And since time is relative, it's really important to focus on the intention of being divinely healed. And that's an everyday thing. When you wake up in the morning, your intention should be divine healing. So you're asking yourself, you're talking to your body, you're being self-aware. What's going on with me today? How am I feeling? I have a headache. when was the last time I had some water? You know, am I overthinking something? Is something worrying me? You know, did I have something as simple as, am I wearing braids, or am I doing something where it's just tension physically on my scalp? What am I fighting against spiritually that's providing tension, that's manifesting, you know, as a headache? You know, things like that. You want to really make sure that, you know, we're soulfully imprinted, is what I like to say, as empaths. And what we have to understand by being soulfully imprinted, we're meant to heal other people. So we're going to feel out of sorts. We're going to feel out of whack for the majority of our life until we awaken to being, you know, who we are. So there's going to be this nagging that something's not right. Like, what is this? Like, and it's going to force you to search and figure that out. And I just encourage every person who's an empath, continue the journey. And if you're not, and you're kind of thinking, but I think I might be, definitely the best thing you can do is begin the journey of healing. And that's self-healing. And whether it's emotional, you know, we all come from different backgrounds, childhoods, different experiences. We talked about the narcissistic relationship. Sometimes it's not just a love relationship. Sometimes the narcissist can be a family member. It can be a parent. You know, it can be a sibling. I mean, you just have to understand that, you know, this healing is on all levels, spiritual, mental, physical, and it's really a lifetime journey.
Yeah, that is so true. And I've said this before, so much of enlightenment is unlearning so many things that we were taught, not purposely, but you know, it was taught and it no longer serves us. Perhaps it served us at one point in our life, but it does not serve us anymore. And a part of being in tune with who you are and your needs. And like you said, we're on our own time. My time is different from yours. And we have to allow our timing of things to manifest when it's time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And to just be okay with that, to accept that, to have
Surrender.
joy, surrender, right? To have joy in the fact that I'm me, I accept me for who I am. This is my journey. And you know, we talked about setting boundaries. Set the boundaries. Don't let other people attempt to make you feel as though, wow, you're this age, you should be over here. You you should be doing this. Who are you? What are you doing? Focus on you and focus on me, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, when you surrender to yourself, because that's what it's about, your higher self, it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. You realize that the only person that could take you off is yourself.
Exactly. And us allowing it, you know, because someone could be sent to, you know, distract or whatever the case may be. And if we fall for that, we allow that, right? We're in control of us. That's why I say it's just daily reminders to yourself, daily healing, daily methods of meditation, whatever you need to do to get grounded. You know, we talked last time about going out in nature. I'm telling you, I never realized, because I've been in Atlanta for a period of time, and I never realized the importance of going outside. It sounds kind of funny, but I didn't realize that I needed it, you know, until I would say about 5 years ago when first time I went up Stone Mountain, and my eyes were just like, wow, I've been here for about for a period of time, about 7 years. And I said, I've never been to Stone Mountain. I didn't realize that I needed to get outside, you know, and working as a nurse, you're working your shift, and there are no open windows, of course, in the hospital. You're working 12 hours and you have the artificial lighting. And if you never stop to go outside and take a breath of fresh air or eat some greenery that you know, photosynthesis has taken place, and you're able to feel and taste the sun and the leaves, you just, as an empath, it does so much damage. It just kind of holds us back from progressing. So definitely understanding that we're each on our own time, our own unraveling of sorts, and relearning and reconnecting. And it's a beautiful process, and just allowing it to take place, and just not feeling like, okay, let me look around. Okay, she's an empath. What is she doing? Okay, she's an empath. What is she doing? No, none of that. Just be calm.
Yes.
Just know that you are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly, even if it's, working in a career that no longer serves you, you're exactly where you need to be. What do you need to do to transition or to pivot? All of that.
Absolutely. So let's talk about protecting our energy as empaths, and how to transmute and transform negative energy. And then we'll talk a little bit about just energy as a whole, because I believe the whole world is operating on energy. So let's dive a little bit into protecting our energy first.
Absolutely. So the first thing is to delve into self-awareness. And that is from an unapologetic standpoint. We were just saying, be unapologetically you. And the way that you can do that is spend more time with yourself. As an empath, we actually require alone time. And part of that alone time is for thinking and processing and feeling and letting go and rebalancing. So becoming self-aware is number one. Number two, get healthy. We got to get healthy. What are we eating? What are we drinking? Are we exercising? You don't have to go out here and join a CrossFit gym. You don't have to go out here and run 20 miles every day. When you become self-aware, you know what you would like to do. Oh, I like to dance. Let me try taking a dance class. I like meditation, or I like Tai Chi, or I like, Qigong, whatever that is. Explore that. That's becoming self-aware and getting more into what you like to do. But you got to get healthy, because your body is really a manifestation. That's how you're going to stay here, right? You don't want to be on a cane talking about, I'm a healer. Wait a second. That's not going to look right.
Mm-hmm.
The other people are like, well, heal yourself first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you get healthy. In doing so, you're going to begin listening to your body. You're going to know what you should do, who you should be allowing around you, what you should be taking in, what types of food and people and circumstances elicit whatever responses in our bodies. How do we feel? When we talk to this person, do I feel great or do I feel down and like, whoo, I got to breathe out? Or, how do I feel when I eat this food? What do I look like? Do I need to continue doing that, or should I let that go? Everything, as you were saying, Jamie, is energy. So if we're interacting with it, whether we're eating it or commingling with it, it has an effect on us. It's very important for us to be aware of that. Allow nature to be your best friend. Now, I'm not saying, be antisocial, but what I am saying is you really need to fall in love with nature as an empath. Even if it's just stepping outside at some point during the day, taking a deep breath and really deeply breathing in and out. Just 5 good repetitions of in and out breathing correctly, breathing through your belly, letting your belly expand, and just breathing out through your nostrils, and just letting everything balance within your body is very, very important. Set immovable boundaries. I can think of at least one person that I know I cannot talk to them before I go to sleep. I know that. I don't need to play around with that, or, oh, what's different? Or maybe it's an emergency. I'll just pick up this. No, if I see it and it's within like an hour or two of when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, that call will be shifted to voicemail. Mm-hmm. And it's because of the energy that they carry. It's nothing personal, because, along the journey, you'll realize that your journey is your journey, so you don't need to impose that on other people. You don't have to tell people, I'm on my journey, so you need to da-da-da. No.
Right.
You just realize that this is internal, this is personal, and you just disassociate yourself. You just, at some times you need to, sever ties if it's very severe. But you take those precautions, setting those immovable boundaries. Like I said, I know what time is it? Oh, if I see a call from that person, won't be able to answer that, because I have to put myself as a priority. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we struggle with as empaths is guilt. And it's just, guilt is a very low vibration, very low frequency, and it wreaks havoc on our bodies physically if it's a long-standing guilt. And it can be guilt for very little things, like saying no. Like, we feel guilty for, saying no, not being able to do something. And it's just like, where does that come from? We have to get rid of that.
That's so true.
Isn't that something?
A lot of people, people can't say no. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so those who are people pleasers is another way that we hear about that. they become stressed and overworked, and they feel undervalued, and burnout is going to happen. There's going to be a physical response in the body from just never saying no and not putting yourself first. So setting those immovable boundaries, getting rid of guilt, I would say investing in crystals, investing in incense, just because that's part of that aromatherapy. And it's something about using the nose, bringing that in through a sensation of breathing. Black tourmaline, black onyx is what I like to use to really block and release and transmute negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
White sage and black sage as well to help clear the air, literally clear the air. But you always have to remember to open a window, open a door to let the negative energy out. But those are other physical ways that you can just have a peaceful experience and to help heal yourself. Ask for guidance. Whatever your spiritual belief is, if you work with your spirit guides, angels, God, whatever you want to call it, gods, goddesses, work with it. Ask for guidance. Ask a question. These individuals are having a get together. Should I go? What do you think? How does it feel? How do I feel? Is that going to take it up past a time that I know I'm normally going to bed? Do I want to participate? Do I not? That kind of thing. It's okay to ask for guidance. Mm-hmm. Trust yourself. This is also a huge one, along with guilt, is trusting ourselves. A lot of times we've been made to feel that, we not to take ourselves with any stock. People look at us crazy anyway, when you're, as a child and you're, hearing things, maybe seeing things and moving a certain way, just living your life with intent and purpose. So you tend to sometimes self-doubt yourself. And you'll think like, do I really know? Is this really real? Especially when you're in a situation where you may be the only empath. So you might start to question yourself. So you have to fortify that healing within yourself and say, hey, I trust myself, The last thing is embrace who you are. You're an empath and you are meant to heal large populations of people as well as yourself. It's a gift. It is not a curse. And just embrace it, every aspect of it, whether you are just finding out what you think you might be and you're going to find out relatively soon that, hey, this is who I am. Don't keep second guessing it. Don't take 3 or 4 years saying, well, I think I am. Where have you done the research? It's your soul is answering the call. So go ahead and ask more, seek more, and you will have more revealed to you.
Yeah. And it's definitely about answering the call. You'll know it. You'll know it when it's time.
Right.
Cara, what book can you recommend to our listeners? Empath or not, and it could be totally off subject, but what book could you recommend to our listeners and why?
Well, I'm going to have to keep it with empaths. I would suggest, especially if you you have an inkling, but you're really not that sure, I would say the Empath Survival Guide by Dr. Judith Orloff. And the reason why I like her is because she's a medical physician. She's an MD, but she's also an empath. And some people need science to back up spiritual findings, right? Some people need to have a marrying of both worlds. You don't want to, look at it as, this is kind of woo-woo. This is kind of, it might be kind of counterintuitive to people's religion and things of that nature. So you might want to read something to where you feel as though a medical physician is letting you know, this is how you survive. This is what you need to look out for. These are the traits. These are, the characteristics. So I like what she presents. There's also exercises where you can become more in tune. And, there's a self-quiz that you can take if you have an inkling of, being an empath. And there's also tools that can help protect you from being overloaded with your senses, because, we're highly sensitive. So there's tools to help you work with that and to honor that. Tools to help you with exhaustion, compassion, and compassion fatigue. And as, working in the nursing industry, compassion fatigue and being an empath really wore me out for a very long time. I did not know what was going on. I just know that the only thing I could do was go to work and go home and sleep.
Yeah.
I had never in my life been so tired. You know, once I passed boards and began working as a nurse, it was a lot. And it took me a very long time, relatively speaking, to figure out, oh, even
Yeah.
though my spiritual advisors, they were giving me hints and telling me, oh, you know, you don't know who you are, you respond, you soak up everything. Now I see they were saying all the buzzwords, and I just kept thinking, I was getting more frustrated than anything, like, okay, can somebody just tell me, what is it? What do I need to know? And it doesn't work like that. This is a journey. And so, yeah, that's what was going on. I was an empath. I was absorbing everything. And sickness and illness is a very dense and thick, heavy energy. And 12-hour shifts, not going outside, not eating correctly. It just really ravaged me.
And it will.
Yeah,
If you can't balance that, it definitely will.
it definitely will.
So
Yeah.
that's a great recommendation. Cara, so today, at the time of this podcast, what would you say is the greatest matter of your heart right now?
I love that question. The greatest matter of my heart. I would say expansion with my Reiki practice. That's my focus right now and I'll be able to release some information tomorrow afternoon. But I am a healer. I have embraced that. I'm a teacher. I come from a lineage of teachers. And it's just past time to let the world know on a large scale, you know, just open myself to where people can come and feel the effects of that. And so that's where I am. It's just the greatest matter is I've already recognized and accepted that I'm a healer and a teacher, and I want to share that with the rest of the world.
That's beautiful. And I wish you all the luck on that. We are all here to expand and to be expansive as spiritual beings. And I have no doubt you're going to do that, especially when you know that there's infinite possibilities in this world. It's just a matter of of us allowing it to come in. We surrender when it come in, and we know that it may not look the way I want it to, but it's gonna come in, and I have to be open to receive it.
Yes.
That's it.
And to walk in it, walk in that
and
purpose.
Walk in it. Exactly.
Right.
So, wow, guys, this was part 2 of Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast with Miss Cara Sevier. This was Am I an Empath part 2. So make sure you check out part 1 so that this particular episode will make sense to you. Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast is a podcast inspired by love, God, relationships, spirituality, justice, culture, family, children, finances, freedom, personal growth, energy and vibrations, universal principles, health, education, masculine and feminine energy, music, and all things of the heart and soul. We appreciate you guys. Please check out our podcast I think we're on about 9 podcasting platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Cara, it's been a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty.